We're live and I've got 2 grapes in my hand. Hello everybody.
Into the Matrix, guys. We're back in and we aren't all zombies yet. We are all hunkering down and prepping for the next 21 days of just chilling.
Of just chilling, yeah. You know, welcome to Hotbox Show, everybody. This is the Lockdown SA edition. Hashtag Lockdown SA. I put a nice clean shirt on for the lockdown. We've got people from all over the planet with us tonight because it's not Lockdown SA, it's lockdown around the world. And one thing I'd love to say is, Buzz, it's really good being back on the same show as you because you and I haven't been on the same gig for months now. It's been really weird. How's the leg going? How's the convalescence going?
It's going well. I feel like the whole leg thing means I've been in quarantine for like 2 months already. So I'm psychologically fit for this, but I think you folks are going to suffer the next couple of weeks, eh?
So you are probably the least likely person to be infected by anything at this point, yeah?
I hope so.
And Dan, where are you? You're in Joburg somewhere, yeah? Okay, we've lost. I wonder what happened there. You know what I'm getting? There's a bit of an issue going on tonight with the tech guys because.
Oh wait.
There you go.
There we go. Yeah, no, I'm just saying that I'm actually with the family having one last supper, as they would call it, before the lockdown, and then I'll be heading home just before the lockdown time tonight, and I'll get back into my house.
And Joe, are you safe at home with your family?
I am very safe at home with my family. I've just fetched my car back from the mechanic again so that she's home for lockdown. I literally slid into this chair about 3 minutes before we went live, so I'm still catching my breath quickly.
I'm sure.
Yeah, we're all home, we're hunkering down, there's no need to go out.
I'm sure, like everybody else, it's been quite a blazing day, you know, it's been quite an emotional day, all sorts of stuff going on during the course of the day today, because basically this is now T-minus 5 hours till shit goes down, and for the first time since the 80s, the army's in the streets. So it's quite an emotional time in the townships, I would imagine, seeing that kind of deja vu coming through. Joe, you've got everybody's there, and you are safe and sound, and you got enough cigarettes for 3 weeks.
Do I have enough cigarettes? I went to the parties today. Yes, I'm good for cigarettes, I'm good for weed, I'm good for a variety of things I'd rather not disclose. My family is safe, we've got sanitizer, we've got masks, we've got food, we've got lentils, 4 fucking days, and we hate lentils, so I don't know why I bought them. No, we're good. We even have toilet roll.
Fantastic. Did you see the meme today that they'd smuggled 20 grand's worth of toilet rolls in a batch of Coke?
I saw that, that was brilliant.
That was today's meme. They're smuggling toilet rolls over the border in cocaine. Anyway, thank you for joining the Hotbox Show tonight. We've no idea how this is going to pan out because we're all learning how to Zoom very, very quickly and not talk over each other. Tonight's poll, folks, listen to the poll tonight. Is using the army to fight a virus an overkill? Hell no. Sure is. Or you're not sure. Bringing in guns and bringing in the Caspers into the townships and onto the main streets and into the metro areas, is it overkill, or do we need it? Don't we need it, or you're not quite sure about it? So that's tonight's poll. You can find that on Facebook and YouTube. Tell us how it is, because the polls are working out. You know, the polls are quite indicative of what's going on. So we want to know your thoughts about it, because I'm sure you all have that feeling first thing in the morning when you open your eyes and then you realise. It's like it hasn't sunk in quite yet that this kind of shit's going down. And I, for one, my heart skips a beat. It's like, Christ, it crushes me for a while. Because I don't mind admitting to a camera, to YouTube, to the world, that there's apprehension about it. I feel it. It's like everybody's feeling the same kind of thing. So we're going to try and keep it as light-hearted as we can. But Joe, what do you think about the poll? Do you think what is your answer to the poll?
So I think I'm in between two answers there. I think it's necessary because South Africans don't seem to be taking this seriously. But I think it's also a little bit overboard. I've been chatting with people today and they all agree exactly what you said about the township thing. The elders who actually lived through apartheid. This must be so traumatizing for them. It's horrible. We're not taking it seriously. We need people to put us in our place. And it certainly has given me a really big feeling of seriousness about this thing.
Good. I think that's what it's for. Buzz, what's your thoughts on it? Do you think it's overkill? The army coming in all of a sudden?
Honestly, I don't know what to think about any of this yet. It all seems a bit surreal. It's still going to take a couple of days to sink in. I think we'll know in a couple of days, depending on how the people behave, whether the army's overkill or not. But a little part of me says maybe just the show of force just to keep people inside. But it's intimidating, it's scary for a lot of people, but honestly, I feel like the army might be the least of our concerns. If we look at the impact this is going to have on a lot of people, the sort of people who can't afford to have 21 days of no income, the people living hand to mouth. So it's not cool to see the army on the streets, but let's be real, people, we're all inside already. So as long as you're being behaved, it shouldn't affect you.
Cool. And Dan,
I agree with Buzz there. I've cried 5 times today, and none of those times has been about the army. It's been about elderly people clinging onto each other into the shops. And I'll try not to cry tonight, but I've had a very emotional day today.
Sure. It's been pretty wild online. Look, it's affecting absolutely everybody. What are your thoughts, Dan? What do you reckon about the army?
The army's going to have a hard time. I mean, you must just understand, if you go into like the really densely populated areas, not even into the townships, let's just go into like areas where there's flatlets, and in town where there's a flat that is meant for one family, but there's 4 families that stay inside there, and now they must try and practice social distancing. It's going to be quite hard, because for anyone to stay inside for 21 days is a challenge. And now let's just bring in this rule that they're apparently not going to sell alcohol. I mean, the families that are going to be dealing with the alcoholic in the family that doesn't have any booze, that's abusive. There's a lot of stuff that's going to go on, and the army's going to have to deal with a lot of things. And I hope that they play nice. I hope they don't take advantage of this situation, as we hear a lot of armies do around the world when this kind of stuff happens. It's quite concerning, but let's all hope for the best. We just help where we can and play our part as much as we can. Yeah.
I was talking to one of our guests earlier, just doing a sound check. He's in America, and he basically said a hungry mob is an angry mob. So people, businesses, properties, everything's going to need protecting, I would imagine. But you know what? None of those people signed up for this. So I'm sure they're scared as well when they wake up first thing in the morning. They realise what the hell's going on, and they've got that dull thud in their chest. And they're only humans as well, but we don't quite know how much carte blanche they've got yet. It's not like martial law yet. It's something else. And on that note, we're going to try and get Ricky Stone in later on in the show, lawyer from PE, and just to talk us through a little bits of the new law and how he sees it and what happens and what doesn't happen. And you know, on the groups that I'm on, some of the threads that I'm on, more people are really, really concerned about the perceived sweeping powers that now the authorities have got, and it's like a bit of a doomsday thing that we should be more scared of the authorities out of control. Has anybody been on the road today? You were on the road, Joe. Did you see any cops or any metro or anything?
I saw on the way home, bringing my car home from the mechanic, I drove past quite a few police cars, normal cop vans. Where I live, I can see the highway, so I'll see in the morning. I'll probably be able to see from there if there's any army trucks and stuff.
All right.
None of us really know what we're going to wake up to.
No, Dan, have
It's
you?
gonna be a whole new. Is this
I have
Cyril's
not
new
seen-
dawn?
Yeah, I have not seen any police, and it's actually quite alarming. I actually shared that. I shared on the group the other day. I've been driving around quite a lot because I've had a lot of things to do, and I've had to drive like all around Joburg. And I have not seen many cops. Well, let's call it the northern suburbs. There's no police out there. Not even the normal visual policing that you would see. They're not there anymore. They've literally all disappeared, and it seems like they are all prepping for something because it's abnormally quiet for them. Yeah, it just really is. It's quite worrying about why they're not on the roads. Where are they? What are they doing? And what are the criminals now thinking about all of this? You know.
I noticed this
Maybe
afternoon.
they're giving all the dealers a chance, man, to get their last minute orders in.
I noticed on YouTube there was a live feed from the Department of Police Affairs or whatever the hell they call themselves to brief. Oh, sorry, it was the President briefing SANDF and the SAPS. So that was this afternoon. So I guess they were all getting they need a boost, these guys. I mean, if anybody should be fearful, it should be those guys going into this now. It's like, it's not doing cold drinks on the freeway exits anymore. This is like real shit. On that note, Buzz, you're talking about the dealers getting their last minute things in. Do you think there's a possibility that the army could end up being the dealers next week? They get paid fuck all.
Yeah, who knows, eh? Who knows? But I really feel like where the police and the army may come in is we talk about all the social distancing, but maybe when day 14 and day 15 arrive, are being trapped with your nearest and dearest, you may want to blow each other's brains out. So maybe they're there also for our own safety.
Oh, there's so many aspects of this. I am absolutely blessed that I'm in quarantine, stroke isolation with someone I love deeply. And it's really super
now,
cool.
Think about all those people who are stuck by themselves and are already battling with anxiety and depression. I'm a bit nervous about the suicide rate that's going to go down. I need, please, guys, any of you who are watching, please reach out to people if you need to. Don't, keep it to yourself. We need to be there for each other right now, okay?
You're absolutely right. So please answer the poll, guys. What do you think about the army on the street with the guns? Are guns going to fight the virus? Hell no, sure, yeah, sure is, but you're unsure about it. My parting shot on that is it'd be really cool at the end of the day that I knew there was a big fat Casper at the end of my road, you know, because social unrest right now is just like prime time. I think it's going to pear shape very quickly. Somebody called Pepe Le Pew is on the feed, says those people need more weed, and you know what? You're absolutely right, Pepe. They do need more weed. And we'll get on to our two guests from overseas tonight. Both are in paradigms where there is commercial weed around. So we'll be hearing from them as to how it is in lockdown with weed, because as has already been mentioned, no alcohol, no tobacco. I can kind of understand the alcohol a bit because you make some really shit decisions on weed, on tobacco. If I listen to me on alcohol, on alcohol, and it doesn't do anything to your immune system. So they're kind of right. That's another whole story for a bit later on. Have we got Jordyn back on yet? Has Jordyn disappeared and didn't come back? Is he around?
No, I'm here.
Jordyn.
I'm here.
Well, our next in the style of Fields of Green for All, just to keep it all normal, we thought we'd give a slot to one of our favourite affiliates, because affiliates are everything to us, and we wish our affiliates well during all of this. We're in contact with many of them all the time. They're on all of our feeds and stuff, the family. But it's good to see you, Jordyn. You and I were meant to be down in Bathurst very, very shortly for what was going to be a total humdinger of a gig.
Yeah, I was very excited to go out partying for the Afrikaners. I thought it was going to be some good jaws going down there. But yeah, it's a bit upsetting that was cancelled. But I mean, you know, it's definitely going to go on. I think everything is just on pause right now. And we can just use this time to prep ourselves even better for the events, I think.
Well, that's a great uplifting thing. Well done, man, because there's so much doom and gloom around, matey. I'm glad you see it that way. Everything's kind of rain checked, so yeah, you're absolutely right. Buzz tells me that you've got some sort of competition going on that is like flavour of the week. I don't think you had. Did you? I don't think you had this competition 2 weeks ago, and now you've got a competition in style with it. So it was actually Buzz's idea to get you on because I'd forgotten all about your competition. So tell us all about that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, with the lockdown coming on, and I mean, I can't stand just being indoors for a weekend, let alone 21 days. And I thought a nice way to pass the time would be to put up a competition for all the growers out there. We're running a lockdown competition that starts tomorrow. You need to start germinating. You could have started germinating already, or start germinating, but you need to plant from the 27th. And then you need to keep a track record of your plant on a daily basis with some sort of reference to ruler or something that we can tell how tall the plant is growing. And at the end of the lockdown, we will choose the winner who will have the tallest plant. And we've got a 2,000 Rand gift voucher to Green Smoke Room plus a Green Smoke Room hamper for grabs.
Buzz, have you got anything to add to that? Are you going to grow any plants?
I may just. I think it's time to also start planting my veggies, not just my weed again. But Jordyn, something that you were also speaking about, I noticed on Green Smoke Room, even though seeds may fall under the essential services category, you were telling me earlier today that you have decided it would actually be more responsible to step back, close your business during the lockdown, still take orders, but allow the courier services and medical essential services to get on with business. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so we sent out some emails to all our customers, and we got an account open for the courier guy, and we spoke to them. They said they can send agricultural products. We've got a nursery license to sell normal seeds and genetics, so we were allowed to still ship our products. But we came out, we said we were going to, and then late last night, myself and the management team just had a meeting, and we think with what's going on in South Africa, we should dedicate at least as much as our manpower to supporting the hospitals and the people in need. And I do really believe, I'm sure everyone out there who needed to get their orders in got their orders in. And guys, it's 21 days. I'm sure we can all start germinating in 21 days, 30 days time if you didn't get your seeds. I just think it's more responsible right now to let the courier guys concentrate on the crisis at hand.
No, it's very admirable of you. And what do you think about, and I know this is getting a bit sort of Bruce Whitfield business-ish, but what's your opinion on businesses? Because I'm in the same boat as you. We're both entrepreneurs. We both sell our own boats financially and that. When we all come out of this in 3 weeks' time, do you think all the businesses are still going to be left standing, or do you think a lot of businesses are just going to fall by the wayside?
So I've been thinking about this long and hard, and I'm the type of guy that plans for a rainy day, and I think if you haven't planned for a rainy day, I think this will kind of give you a lesson in business. But everyone needs to have that fund there that at least can cover you for a month where shit hits the fan, something goes wrong. It might not be a national crisis like this, but something can always happen in a company where you might need to close your doors for 30 days, 45 days, 60 days even. And yes, businesses that are literally starting up in their first year, they're just getting going, it's going to be a struggle. But I really hope the South African community is there for them when this does pass, and instead of purchasing overseas and importing, we stick to local guys at least for a good year or two to increase the local turnover. But we all in the exact same boat. So, I think it starts at the bottom and it works the way up. So I think we all need to understand that the lowest incoming people are going to be affected, and then even the people with their businesses. But we need to, we're all in the same boat. We need to be there for each other. And when this stops, I think South Africa needs to come together and support. We've always said it before, support local, but we really, really have to start supporting local now when this ends, so we can increase the economy again. And I do also think our government has taken some good steps into helping the people that really need help, the small shops, and yeah, let's see how it goes.
Um,
And I saw that Green Smoke Room Seeds is also running a special or a discount code during the lockdown.
Yeah, so we're running a 20% discount on the entire website. The code is lockdown. I mean, it's just something small we're doing. We understand that it's tough times out there right now, and anything anyone can do, I think we should be doing. We'll run the promotion for as long as the lockdown, if not maybe a few months after the lockdown as well.
okay, so I'm just looking.
Cool of you guys. So tell me a little bit more about the competition. How do people enter? Is there a hashtag? Is it a Facebook thing? Is it an Instagram thing?
Yeah, so our social media team is still running throughout the whole lockdown, and they're going to be full time on social media, tracking all the hashtags. Our Instagram handles on there, our Facebook handles on our adverts. We have posted around. If you go, you just have to hashtag post your photo on our Instagram page or our Facebook page. You need to have some sort of reference next to your plant just so you can see how tall it is, and that's as easy as it is. We did say on the original post that it can only be green smoke room strains. I've actually opened it up now to any genetics can be grown.
Great.
That's cool, man. And just personally, what are you going to be doing to stay sane over the next 21 days?
Jeez. So I've set up my computer station. I've gone back into the online gaming, so we'll see how long how much time that takes up. I am very lucky. I've got quite a big garden, so I'm going to be practicing my golf chipping quite a lot. And I'm also extremely lucky to be living with my girlfriend, so I've got a beautiful partner to spend the time with.
Wow. Okay.
That's good news.
Yeah.
I just hope you stay safe. I hope you stay sane. And I hope you stay lit over the next 21 days. And I hope to see you all on the other end.
100% you too. Everyone out there, please stay safe, and everything will be okay then. We all know the world's been through tough times, and we've survived it.
Nice one, Jordyn. Thank you so much for pulling in. We're going to put all the links up to you on the bio of this. This will be a short as well that will be released during the week, so it'll have GS on it as the thread, and we'll try and get you. It's going to be fun. It's going to be cool. We'll plant some at the hot box and just join the fun as well. There's one thing, Jordyn, I just noticed on the thread, Ras Warren said there should be categories because Hydro's going to win.
So that's funny enough. I actually asked I asked quite a few people before putting on this competition if we should have different categories and stuff. And a lot of us were actually arguing on what genetic or what type of way it's grown, which will be the tallest plant. So I think it'll be interesting to see. Personally, I think an auto is going to win being grown indoors. But I've got people who have said to me they think a sun-grown feminized plant is going to win. So we've opened it up to all categories, plant your seed, and as long as it's a cannabis plant and we can track it properly, you'll be entered into the competition.
Cool, man. That's great. I wish you the best of luck, and I hope your golf chipping improves. Okay.
Yeah, much needed. Cheers, guys.
Yes, Jordyn.
I'm just looking on the thread here now. Joanne Campbell says businesses selling CBD oil are classified as an essential service and are allowed to stay open according to Pure CBD. These businesses can also courier supplies. Does anybody have any insight on that, Joe? Do you know anything about that?
I don't know anything about that.
Do you know anything, Dan? Is this in South Africa? I haven't heard of that one yet.
No, I haven't heard anything about that. I don't know. If they are going to let that as an essential service, that's pretty awesome. But
yeah, you're absolutely right. It is pretty awesome. Well, yes, Jordyn's always been there all the time, Buzz. You go all the way back to the beginning. He's one of the first guys out of the gate, and he's such a cool guy paying back all the time, isn't he?
Yeah, he's definitely one of those guys who walks the talk. We're in an environment now, and I hate to bring up CBD like this, but There's a lot of guys that are in this just for the quick flip, the quick buck. Jordan's walked the talk for a long time. He's one of those brands that I think is not just going to survive the next 21 days, but the next 21 years.
Nice, nice.
Okay.
Well, it's good to have a bit of South Africanism like that, and we've got our international guests are actually sitting in on this, listening to us set the scene of how it is. The two guests that we've got are already in lockdown. They've been used to this for days and days, couple of weeks. But now, in their respective places, the police are actually starting to clamp down. But in true South African style, the police just climb in, you know. There's no like, it's straight out of the gate. We're going to clamp down because that gives us a hard-on. They love doing that shit. They really do. So I'd like to cross over to Los Angeles now at 10:30 in the morning to a man called Bill Baskin that Myrtle and I have known for many years. And Bill Baskin was instrumental in giving us a bed for the night when we went to Las Vegas. In fact, if it wasn't for Bill Baskin, we would never have got to Las Vegas because we were in Los Angeles and he saw that we'd arrived and he said, I'm in Vegas, get on a plane. And you know what? Bill Baskin's the kind of guy that you have to take seriously like that, and he showed us a real good time, and it's really cool to have him on the show. Bill, are you there?
You bet.
Oh, there you are, man.
Las Vegas.
Super duper. And am I right? It's 10:30 in the morning, yeah?
It is. It is.
And you, let me just catch up with you. Have you been in the house for some length of time now, yeah?
Yeah, we've been in isolation now for 9 days on a 30-day lockdown issued by the governor. Some of the states like California, where I previously lived, the National Guard has been deployed there. It's not martial law, but they're keeping the peace. You know, as we say in America, an armed society is a polite society. So I think you know, they're not really dealing with virus per se. They're dealing with basically security to free the police up to more pressing issues.
Okay.
So I think it keeps everybody calm. We certainly look at the military a little different here, probably than you do. You know, it's kind of reassuring to see the military here. We don't really worry about them abusing people or taking over the government or anything like that. So
Okay.
it's a little different mindset here.
Well, the last time I met you was a whole different world. I mean, you showed me around a really happy time in Las Vegas, and for somebody that lives on a farm outside Johannesburg, it was a bit of a mind flip to actually see the place. And now you say that 200,000 people have lost their jobs in the last week because it's all part of the. There you can see pictures of a lonesome Elvis. Are you lonesome tonight? And there, that street I walked down and it was completely full of people. Look at this place deserted now. So how's that affecting your business? Tell me a little bit about your business, Bill. Why did you've come to Vegas to start cannabis, yeah?
Yeah, my business partner has been in the marijuana space, and her family produces about 20% of the legal marijuana here in Nevada and distributes it. But we decided we looked at the CBD hemp market. Purify.com is all about hemp and not marijuana because like I think you alluded to it earlier, like any booming industry, there's a lot of snake oil salesmen and black hat marketers coming in with fraudulent product and crazy advertising saying, you know, it cure cancer or whatever. And there's just not the scientific basis to support a lot of the claims that are currently being made, but studies are being done. And the Federal Drug Administration here cracked down on CBD suppliers for making all these claims. So consumers were kind of lost, didn't know where to look for real information or real products. One of the founders of LinkedIn is in Las Vegas here as well, and he's working on an ALS cure using CBD in the biopharma industry. And he bought 41 products off Amazon that were all CBD, and none of them had the CBD they claimed to. So there's a lot of product fraud, advertising fraud going on. And we kind of came in as Purify to kind of clear that chatter and give people a trusted source, not only for information and celebrity interviews, but also reviewed, vetted, and curated products, which we're launching this week in a rating system. So you can look at all the different CBD products, see how they're ranked and rated by the actual users, read their reviews. We independently test to verify the veracity of the product. So it's kind of a safe space, if you will, for people looking for CBD so they won't get ripped off.
Right. Buzz and I have been wanting to do that for a long time. We wanted to snaffle up a whole bunch of stuff off the shelves from all the health food shops to see how much CBD was in stuff. Did you say 41 Amazon
41.
products do not have CBD in at all.
Not well. Either 8 of them had no CBD at all. A number of them did not, and most of the rest did not have the amount of CBD they actually advertised on the bottle. So, it's a Wild West industry. There's not a lot of regulation. I'm not a huge fan of regulation, especially when it's done to the legal cannabis market here with the tax, layers of taxes and everything. There's so much regulatory cost now in this industry that people can't make money in marijuana, if you can believe that. They have 2 sets of books, so the black market, it's only government can make the black market viable again, so it's
totally, completely. Yeah. And I presume that is cannabis still allowed to be purchased anywhere around? I mean, are they like a regular shop that you can go to?
Yeah, there's literally tons of shops. You and I went to Planet 13 here and got that experience on a previous show. But there's millions of dispensaries here, delivery services. So it's like ordering a pizza pretty much. It's pretty easy to get. Lots of different strains and lots of different products. Almost too many products, honestly. I kind of miss the old days, but Las Vegas. It's kind of interesting. Never before in its history has every casino closed. I mean, you were right. The streets are deserted. We normally get 340,000 visitors a week to Las Vegas. We have none now. The airport was actually closed for a week. All non-essential businesses are closed. Marijuana dispensaries and CBD is considered an essential business, which is kind of a nice thing to see. They want to make sure people can get their medicine. CBD sales are skyrocketing, something else you alluded to earlier, because people are using it for kind of mood controls, alleviate stress and anxiety, which obviously everybody has now. Nobody's experienced a world like this. And, for us residents in Vegas, living in Las Vegas, it's Sin City, right? Everybody comes here for the party. Residents, it's like living anywhere else, but now we've kind of flipped the switch. We're all in self-isolation. Cocktails are permissible at any hour. We're all losing money by the minute, and nobody knows what day or time it is anymore. So it's almost like visiting Las Vegas. Get to live here now. For the first time ever, what happens in Vegas actually will stay in Vegas.
Oh, that's hilarious. It's incredible that it's actually flipped, that cannabis is actually an essential product with the military on the streets. It makes so much sense around here. I don't know whether you know that liquor has been banned and tobacco has been banned in South Africa for the next 21 days at least, but that would never happen. That hasn't happened throughout America at all. No, you don't hear of that.
Oh, no. Yeah, the cigarette lobby and the alcohol lobby owns the government, so that would never happen here. Yeah.
Have you got a view?
The markets here, the one thing there's plenty of is liquor. I mean, there's everything else are being wiped off the shelves, but I think the supply chain will catch up pretty soon. But most people don't have preparations for something like this, and it shows.
And have you got hundreds and hundreds of toilet rolls in your house?
No, I have, but I do have about 100-day supply. I actually took an inventory and calculated it out.
Really?
That in my life. So, yeah.
Wow. That's really so. What did people binge buy in Las Vegas when they were told it's lockdown? What was the most popular thing to go and get?
Paper goods and proteins wiped out. Yeah, and
Okay.
dairy.
All
I
right.
haven't been able to get for 4 visits to the store now, but I did have some. I did trade for some eggs with some 9mm ammo. So you'll like that.
Really? That's hilarious.
Hey, my post-apocalyptic world actually is working as planned. Ammo is now currency.
Indeed. Yeah, God. And I'm sure, Americans love their guns. Has there been an upsurge in gun sales because of people's anxieties?
Absolutely. It's an interesting time because, like Las Vegas in particular, 75% of the people that work here are in the service industry. So they're all kind of hand to mouth, check to check. So people are worried. When people start getting hungry, people do desperate things. And, there's not a great support system, social net here for people. I mean, the government just came out with a $2 trillion stimulus package. They got passed through the Senate today, but, most of that money is going to corporations like usual and not the people. But there is some money coming to help people stay afloat during this. It's just completely unprecedented. I mean, nothing's ever shut down the American economy before. They're talking our GDP is going to be reduced by probably 25% next quarter, which is like $5-6 trillion in economic activity. So it's a little crazy. I mean, we were running all cylinders here till this. So
going back to your business a moment, have you still got plants under lights and you've still got a crew making all of this happen? It is business as usual for you.
Absolutely, yeah. We're writing content, doing interviews, talking to thought leaders. We just launched traffic to our new review site, which, like I said, the public will be able to see in our store option on the site next week to review and take a look at different products so you can make a buying decision that's informed. But we're an internet-based business, so if anything, we almost have a captive audience now. It's in a weird way good for us in this particular industry.
And your company is Puraphy. Have I pronounced it correctly? Say it again. Say it for me.
Puraphy.
And
Pure is the Latin root for pure, and phi is the root of phytocannabinoid. So it's everything about hemp.
Okay, now we've got your website up on the screen now, scrolling through it. So remember this, folks. I have been to a grow in. You took me into the grow in Vegas, and I won't forget it. It was big. It wasn't as big as one that I did see, but it was quite an extensive thing, and it was really cool to see. And at that point, it was like a new world, because I think I remember you saying that there's no tax, or there's no sales tax, or less sales tax in Vegas. So all the cannabis growers went that way to set up business.
Well, yeah, there's no income tax in Nevada, so you don't pay state income tax. You still pay the federal. So the tourists normally power the state. All the resort fees and taxes on rooms and entertainment that are here power the state. So it's like I said, this is nobody coming to Vegas. I mean, never in its history has casinos closed down. It's kind of mind-boggling to see the strip completely deserted. It's like a crazy.
As of tomorrow, the crew need a really good reason to get in a car and drive around, and we're not quite sure what to make of it at the moment. There are some exceptions. Do you have some sort of cannabis business exception to drive around? Have you got like some ID or nothing? How does that work when you get stopped, and why the fuck are you in your Jeep driving through the main drag?
They haven't stopped people from driving. You still need to go out and get supplies, so they're not doing checks. I know in California, where the National Guard's deployed, at night they're doing. If you're out and about, they are checking to see if you're heading towards your essential business or not. But during the day, that's not really the case. People can still get out of their house, so we're not in lockdown per se. We're in self-isolation to help prevent the spread of disease and what they call social distancing, stay at least 6 to 10 feet away from people. So to try and reduce the spread, so the medical capacity can keep up with the really high-risk patients.
Okay.
So a little bit of a shit show, but that's what we're doing.
It's quite a shit show, but you do. I mean, we all see the point of this. Yeah, the figures that I've seen from Buenos Aires was one place. We've got a cannabis activist friend in Buenos Aires, and he said that when they went to lockdown 3 weeks ago, they had the same infection rate as New York, and now 3 weeks locked down, they have a 5% infection rate to New York, and that is staggering. I don't want to even talk about New York at the moment, but just the fact that you see statistics coming through that it does clamp it down. It's the only way to do it. I know there's loads of conspiracies and loads of people hate the army on the street. We've got a terrible, terrible history of military oppression in this part of the world, so it's really quite edgy out this part of the world. I've got one more question for you, Bill, before we sign off. You've got, in your left earlobe, you've got a guitar, and in your right earlobe, it looks like you've got some pump action shotgun thing. Do you want to tell me about that gun there?
It's semi-auto, my friend. But how much I know you love guns. I threw that one up there in place of a guitar just so crazy Americans with guns. But the only thing I can tell you is, when the military is not on the street here, and that 12 gauge is a lot faster than emergency services. So.
Yeah, right. Well, I remember being in your home, and you handed me a semi-automatic rifle, and I won't forget that feeling, because it's completely alien to me. I'm English. English don't do guns, generally speaking, and neither did the cops when I was a kid. But so I'm very wary of the things, but I hope that I'm being protected by one at the right time when shit goes down. So I know you're a marksman of marksmen. I know you love going out there to shoot shit. So maybe I should have holed up at your place instead.
Yeah, it's safer.
All right, man. It's been really cool talking to you. We're going to put all your links and stuff in the bio at the bottom of this. We'll chop this segment up and put your name on it, and then it will go out as a 10-15 minute segment. It's been absolutely fascinating talking to you, Bill, from another side of the planet doing the same thing. It sounds like it's a little bit more sedate around your part of the world. It's as edgy as fuck around here. Always was. This has just exacerbated the whole thing. So I wish you well. I'll stay in touch. Say again?
One parting thought. I mean, we're all in this together. Reach out to your friends, your family, people in your social circle. See what they need. If you have it, help them out. Everybody needs to be together and pull together in this thing so we can all get through it, because it's unprecedented, and this is going to show our true character or not. So
right,
let's all help each other.
Good luck hanging out, growing loads of weed, and being able to sell it on the street during the apocalypse, bro. I think it's fantastic.
Good thought. Cheers.
Thank you, man. Yo, what do you think of that, Buzz? Weed being an essential commodity.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like so much like an apocalypse, like a dang apocalypse, man.
Oh my God. Yes, it's damn.
I'm
That's
looking
quite.
forward to speaking to Ricky, because it's a big thing that's going around now. Is, in my mind though, is weed an essential item? We see that booze has been banned. We've seen the fake news about ciggies being banned.
Was that fake? Was it fake?
I don't know. I don't know anymore, because people are saying yes, people are saying no. But it does raise the question for me. I know there's medicine and all that, but for me as a person who just likes to smoke to get high, is that an essential item? Should I be allowed to go buy that? Should I be allowed to order it and have it delivered by courier? Because I see there's a lot of that going around.
Wow. Joe, you went out to buy some cigarettes today because you figured they said it was going to be illegal, yeah? They have.
Yes, that's exactly what I did. I only saw that at like 8 o'clock last night, and I saw there were a few articles about it. So it seems to be real. The shops were prepared like it was real. So, I didn't overdo it. I got what I need. But some backup rolling tobacco in case, it goes out a few extra days.
What's the rationale? I don't get it. I don't get why the tobacco thing is. They banned the tobacco. What's your thought, Joe?
Maybe they've decided to just cleanse the nation of all its addictions. Like 21 days is supposed to be the amount of time that it takes to break a habit. I don't know.
What do you reckon, Dan?
They're playing mind games with us.
What do you?
I think the booze and the cigarette. Well, I don't know about the cigarettes. I have no idea why the cigarettes, but the booze is definitely for the social aspect of gathering in social places. The cigarettes, I don't know. It's not like people are going to go stand around in groups and smoke cigarettes, like confine themselves to a smoking room, So it makes no sense with the cigarettes. Yeah, I have no idea.
Joanne Campbell in Hogsback says, yep, the sale of the cigarettes is banned from midnight tonight. And Pepe Le Pew says tobacco puts people in hospitals. So we know that people who smoke are at most at risk for the respiratory part of this this whole virus story. But hey, it's quite an addictive thing. It fucks with your head. I would imagine people need the choice. Knocking ciggies on the head for 3 weeks isn't going to heal your lungs in any real time, I don't think. Anyway, it is what it is. I don't smoke cigarettes. I have, the last time I actually had a beer was sat here 1 week ago. I haven't had the time to have a beer this week. I'm in self-quarantine with Myrtle after, of course, 3 weeks in Europe. We're still taking it very seriously. We feel fine, and we're checking. It's really funny when you smoke a pipe or something, and then like 10 minutes later you get this raspy fucking cough thing, and you go, oh no, fucking hell, I'm going down, damn it. Has any of you guys had anything like that? Have you been checking out to see, thinking, fuck, have I got a fever, or am I just sweating with anxiety?
I've got a bit of a smoker's cough already as it is, and like I've been coughing, I know that it's not this because I've just been very self-isolated and there's a lot of phlegm that's coming up when I cough, but the other night it was actually quite weird. I don't know what it was. I must have eaten something, but I woke up in the middle of the night with like a hot sweat, and I was like, am I infected? Am I infected? But I think it was just because I ate some shitty food and I wasn't actually good. But yeah, it's quite scary. Like you think that yeah, you might have it.
And you, Buzz, you've
Bill
been.
brings up a valid point. He says that tobacco suppresses the immune system. So
Yeah,
I think maybe it's just to sort of help that bowel curve. But also, I wonder what's going to be like now because people are going to have to buy their toilet paper, their sanitizer, their tobacco, and their brandy by the gram.
Well, let's hope it doesn't get to that.
Welcome to our world, though.
Wow, God damn it. And we are now blessed that we have the inalienable right to grow loads of weed, and we've gone into lockdown right at harvest time, and people are hanging out doing their meditation clipping. There's nothing else to do now. So enjoy every single part of the clip that you're doing. It isn't summer anywhere near where our next guest is. He's all the way in the very, very north of the Northern Hemisphere. He's no stranger to this show. Joe and I had a complete laugh. We all had a laugh with him when he first came to the show almost a year ago. It's just over a year ago he came to the Hotbox show live. He's been on it a number of times. Marc Emery's waiting in the wings now for an update from Toronto, and he has been indoors in Canada for about 14 days now, but he tells me that you normally do that anyway because it's like minus outside, so they're kind of used to being inside a lot. Marc Emery, you in the house?
We are used to being here inside more than you, but this is day 16 for me, and I even had a few walks by myself in the first 8 or 9 days, but the last 7 days solid, I haven't gone out the apartment door. So, by the way, the cigarettes are a leading indicator of fatalities in Italy and Spain, that the smokers are dying at a much higher rate. And so that is the public health explanation for banning the cigarettes. They don't want any contraindications out there if it can be avoided. Now, here's the other thing. There is every crisis, governments try to concentrate power. And they're going to try and concentrate a lot of power during this crisis in areas of what they would call health, but it's really personal liberty, and what they would call important communications, which we would call our phone and our computers, and things like what we're doing now. We're going to be in bad times. We're going to, there's going to be food shortages and there's going to be inflation. The governments are producing a lot of money to give us to sit at home and do nothing. That'll be a lot of cash chasing too few goods, especially food items, which we're, all going to continue to consume at least the same rate. But it's going to be much more expensive. Food prices will probably be up 50% to double, to 100% within about 3 to 6 months.
Tell us a little bit about the background in Toronto at the moment. Is there an official lockdown? What is the government up to? Because I don't know about you, but I don't trust anybody like people like Trudeau on that side of the scale. You're absolutely right. It is an open checkbook to clamp down on this shit much more than it needs to be.
Not only that, the difficulty is that the government here in Canada now is beginning to subsidize the media. All of it, print, you name it. And of course, you can't help but think that the media is going to be beholden to whatever government in power is dispensing the largesse, right? It's going to be a corrupt process. Corruption in Canada is different from South Africa in that it's probably sleazier and more concealed and justified by the use of some social good, right? Everything is justified by its, keeping jobs, keeping journalists, et cetera, et cetera. But really, it's going to be pretty bad for journalism. It's going to be because who's buying advertising? Anybody thinking of buying a car this week? I don't think so, right? I mean, I've never seen this in my lifetime. I heard stories about the Depression. I certainly fear we're going to see one. Because all these people unemployed and still eating and still needing to live and have a roof over their heads, all this government cash that's being printed to give out to people so we can, quote, survive, is going to create very bad conditions. It's not like I'm a complete Darwinist, but sometimes at some point we may have to face the fact that a lot of people are going to die so the rest of us can live, because we need to produce food, fuel, and all the things that make all these things come together. I don't think people are going to be buying so much crap anymore, because that's going to seem like, we nearly died and had mass deaths. I don't think I need this piece of shit. I think there's going to be a lot more of that
Right.
after this. I think people
Right.
are going to be a little more conscious, a little more grateful, a little less needy and grabby. But we've got to get through a period of possible looting, militaries on the street. You know, in Canada, I trust the military, and overall, I even trust the cops for the most part. But I don't know if you can say that in a lot of Asia, Africa, and the Caribbean and Latin America. The people don't trust the cops there, and they don't necessarily trust the military. And when people are hungry, there are a limited number of responses for poor people. So I think there's going to be a lot of very big revelations coming for us in the next little while.
So you heard our last guest talk about the cannabis industry in Vegas. Were you on the you were listening to the previous guest, Bill, and he was saying that it's basically an essential item by law. So he's growing and he's doing his thing, and that must be really weird to you, my friend, because you've had like 30 jails and fucking hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines, and now it's an essential thing.
39 prisons and jails. And here's the thing, I'm still paying the fine for my store I got busted for a couple of years ago. Right? And I still owe a lot, and I'm paying a fortune, yet the same industry is declared an essential service during a state of emergency. But okay, so that is as it is. There's certainly a lot of irony there. Some people said, you know, there's good and there's bad in what you said. The bad is the injustice that occurred to you, but the good is that it's an essential service in a state of emergency. And I got to figure the cops are very much prioritized. I don't think there'll be a lot of pot bust going on, which we still have in Canada, but I don't think we're going to see much. I saw the policeman, the last time I went to the grocery store about 8 days ago, there was a policeman inside. I said, has there been disputes? He said, sometimes. He said, embarrassingly, over toilet paper. He said, so, you know, one of us just shows up here, we walk around and just remind people to try and keep orderly and stuff, right? Well, in a big city like Toronto, that's not a particularly unusual thing. You know, they often have to move homeless people along who take up residence in places that they're not supposed to. And, you know, we live in an old environment here, so, you know, people want to be indoors. So, you know, it's not a big deal. If the military were on the street, I would definitely say that we can't allow looting, because looting and all crime is contagious. If certain people are seen to be getting away with looting, it will immediately flash across entire jurisdictions to affect millions of people. So I get it if the military is just there to stay in their vehicles, to stay on the street, to just look after property, encourage, you know, proper behavior, and then I don't use it to settle political or cultural scores, right? Because there'll be that temptation, because they're going to suspend liberty to some degree, and we don't really have any say about it. I mean, what do we say? We're at home watching the news. We're not making the news. Everyone's in their apartment trying to avoid, you know, this contagion. Hope that the numbers start to go downward.
That's a very good point you make. Yeah, the revolution will be televised, and we're sitting at home watching it. It's quite bizarre how easy it was for them if that was their ulterior motive.
The big question is it going to be a devolution or evolution or a revolution? We've got three options. We can go backwards, we can evolve into a superior form, or we can have a revolution where we destroy all our institutions and put 7.5 billion people at risk of poverty and starvation.
Wow, imagine that. Are you still in?
Don't.
No, don't. Are you still on the periphery of the cannabis industry? Are you still
I'm affiliated with people who are delivering into these trying times, and it can be done. The thing is, the cannabis industry or the cannabis services can adapt, and so currently we have many delivery services operating in the great GTA, and it's just one person at each location. One person has the inventory, one person does the administration, the other person picks it up, drops it off, hands it at 2 meters length. You can even leave it on the front doorstep and they'll leave an envelope. You never have to see anybody, but it's getting to everybody in the GTA. Canada is awash in cannabis. The prices are low, and they're going lower because a lot of people won't be able to afford cannabis. That's going to be a luxury. Food is going to become much more expensive. And if we can't go outside, If you live in Toronto, yeah, delivery services are here, but most of rural Canada is not going to have some guy driving it to your door. So you could get it by mail, and that's pretty efficient. So, Canadians will still get cannabis if they can afford it. And that's going to be the big question, is what is money worth and what will it buy? And again, governments are going to try and use this to concentrate power. So there'll be more talk about eliminating cash and more talk about electronic credits, and electronic money, which, for a guy like me, that's like seen in like Soylent Green, where I start playing Beethoven's Pastoral and putting myself to sleep permanently because I don't want to live in a world without cash. I've had a cash business all my life. I'm not a credit guy. I'm not going to have a good score. I'm not going to ever be considered a desirable citizen under those circumstances, right? So that's when it's time for let this new generation deal with their dystopia, and let me move on.
Well, you say that the guys on my side here, no, the other side there, the guys that are in those boxes up here, they're all
flipping by all those. It felt like Tinder without the sex.
Well, all the guys that you see on the screen from the crew from the Hotbox, we're all cash people as well. We deal in cash all of our lives. Cash is king around all of our lives forever. So it is a weird transition to be dealing with credit cards and stuff, and people doing EFTs and heaven knows what. It's like it's really fucking hectic to actually launder this stuff. It's all gone electronic. There's talk, Mark, in South Africa of us being tracked as either pre or post or current COVID status, whether you've had it or you're getting it or you've got it, and we will be tracked by phone. And a lot of people.
A lot of this depends on immunity. If you get it, if you're one of the 80% that have no symptoms or minor symptoms, I've never really met anybody that said, "Oh, it was just a cough for a half a day and I had it," right? I'd be curious to know why it has no manifestations to 80% of people, but 20%, are in the critical care, definitely having a bad time, not happy type of thing, right? Well, 20% is a pretty high percentage. But sooner or later, the people need to find out if they're immune, and they've got to go back out to work. I mean, if they don't have to worry about it, as soon as you've gotten through it, you got to go back to work, right? Because people have to start producing as soon as possible. So the only people that should be quarantined are the people that have never had it, obviously, who are vulnerable. I would suggest if you feel vulnerable, then quarantine yourself. But sooner or later, the world is going to have to return, and it's going to have to be done by people who've gathered immunity through vaccination, through having survived it, through whatever. So, we live in post-apocalyptic times almost.
Have you had any of the virus? Have you had the symptoms of it? Have you just been generally?
The first day I've had no symptoms. But I didn't have COVID symptoms. I don't know how I got it. As I said, I've been indoors for 16 days. As far as I know, I hadn't touched or gone near anybody or anything, but that's, someone's delusion. But in the last 7 days I've been indoors because about 7 days ago my nose started running like a tap. But that lasted 2 or 3 days, became a cough. But it wasn't a dry cough, it was a phlegmy cough.
Oh, I see, okay.
So that wasn't a symptom either.
All right, okay.
And then my chest was tender for a day from the coughing. But then the day after that stopped. And then I harked up a lot of stuff yesterday and the day before. And to me, those are all normal progressions. In fact, normally, when I went to Colombia and Chile last August and September, and I picked up a terrible cold flu in both places and felt much worse for 3 weeks last August and 3 weeks last September. So this only had the added element of paranoia, like, do I have COVID, right? And, I didn't want to bother getting tested because I'm not in enough discomfort to justify anybody's time. I'm eating good foods only, salads, fruits, like eating well, keeping my mind agile, doing crosswords, thinking things. I only just started smoking pot today, though. It's probably the first day of bong hits for a couple of weeks.
I want to talk to you about that because I'm going to admit it live on the show that I'm having a little bit of an issue with my cannabis consumption because I'm genuinely I can get quite anxious because if I was right now and nothing was happening, I was going into a big fundraising festival with the crew. I'm the one that gets anxious. I'm the what if guy. And at the moment, when I wake up in the morning, that dull thud in your chest when you realise that, oh fuck, this is happening. You remember after a sleep that you're in it, and it's heavy on me for a while, and I'm sure it happens to many people at the moment. But I get
Here's
anxious.
the thing, Jules. You're growing way too many of the wrong kind of plant for what you need. You see, you're growing all these sativas. I've seen your incredible garden. Never saw an incredible garden like yours. Just amazing.
I don't know what you mean. I actually don't know what you mean. Which garden?
The one that had Malawi, Zimbabwe, Cape Town, etc. Your lovely plant garden. But they were all sativas. You don't have any mountain strains. Now, of course, you don't have a mountain environment, although Johannesburg area is up there. You're on a plateau, I believe, Gauteng. And you're what, about 4,000 feet?
2,000 meters, yeah.
2,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's still pretty good. You should grow more of the really heavy indicas and smoke those only until at least this crisis is past. Besides, you're under a lot of stress there. This is your second time you've had people with guns assault your family or yourself in recent times. South Africa is very populated with income inequalities, political animosities. If I were you, I would be somewhat nervous. Canada's not quite there. So a guy like me can be much calmer, right? And I feel for people that feel they're in vulnerable areas.
I can't believe that. I've never heard that before. That it's actually a strain mix. I want to cut in to the crew a minute. Dan, what do you think about that? Do you get anxious at all if you're smoking at the moment? Has Dan left? Where's Dan? No, here he is.
No, I'm here. No, not at all.
No.
It's just carrying on as usual. I'm not trying to let you know. I think also a lot of this hysteria and craziness. If you're going to watch all this media and constantly watch all the bad stuff and just not just think rationally about what's actually happening, I think it can play quite a big role in what your well-being is going to be like over the next 21 days. I think we were all fine around South Africa before this happened. Obviously, now that this has started happening, we've all upped our game with our health and our hygiene. So there's no need. I don't think there's much need to stress if you're just staying inside your place and sticking to the rules and just looking after yourself. Because like we don't need to get sick to overburden the health system.
Right.
So let's just keep to it. Smoke your weed. Don't get paranoid. You've got nothing to worry about. The cops aren't even arresting anyone else. They've got no reason to fill the jails with anybody but do their own duty on the streets. So just don't get stressed. Don't stress out.
And Buzz, your consumption levels after being through all the medication and your ankle and everything, have you cut down quite a lot?
I'll be real with you guys. I have smoked next to no weed for the last 2 months.
Wow.
And I have noticed a drastic decrease in my anxiety. I don't know if it's just because I'm so immune to all the drama I've been going through, but I've smoked maybe a handful of joints, and I've definitely noticed, especially now that I'm so far removed and no longer at the buffet, that when I do smoke, I feel my anxiety levels go up.
And you, Joe? How are you doing with the anxiety levels?
Well, I'm smoking on a bit of a hybrid, so I'm fine. I've been too busy in the day, to be honest, and if I have started freaking out a bit, then I come home and I have a couple of drags, and then I take a deep breath and, get
Is my
back
mic
there
still
and
on?
a bit calmer.
Yes, it is. Oh, there goes my phone.
I was just gonna say, this what I'm smoking is a Peruvian strain a man in Arequipa gave me in an envelope, 8 seeds, and I grew them all out the summer before last. I harvested, this is 14 months old, and it's this Peruvian sativa, and it's the most sativist thing I've ever had. And just some nugs there, but it's, here, I'll show you. It's the tail end of it. It's lasted me 14 months, right? Doesn't look like much, but it's incredibly psychoactive and a really positive buzz. And the old man who gave it to me, I think at the airport too, he gave me these 8. He said it was really good stuff for the mind. And so he turned out to be right, because that's what I've been smoking off and on, and you need very little. It doesn't even appear to have any resin. That's what gets me. It doesn't even appear to have any resin. It's not sticky. It's, it's all the wrong characteristics. It was beautiful when I grew it. I knew it wasn't going to yield much. And I grew mostly indicas too, so sativas were unusual, but this thing has really been great. That's because we don't really actually get authentic sativas here. And I happened to bring those from Peru, from the mountains there, a sativa, bring it to my greenhouse. And I was able to go till November 1st, which is a long harvest. Like normally you have to have it in by then, but I had a nice greenhouse that was kept warm, and it went really long. And like a sativa should, it went for probably 14 weeks of flowering. It turned out fantastic. So here I am telling you, you need more indicas, which is what dominates around here. But in truth, I'm getting through this, what is this, whatever we're calling it, apocalypse, Armageddon, the end times. I love all the names for it, right? And that human cynicism combined with a sense of comedy, laughing our way to the apocalypse. So anyway, that's what I'm smoking.
I just want to butt in a minute. It all went dark in this side because I've got a charger issue on one of the cameras. I can hear you loud and clear. I just can't see anybody at the moment. I'll be back in a moment on the picture. Well, I'm going to take that as words of advice from an old cannabis sage, because I do really need to deal with the thing. I don't know whether I'm smoking less, but I'm still smoking because I love that stuff, It's part of my life. But I have been taking...
Well, you know what you should do? Shake it up. Try making capsules and taking maybe 200 to 300 milligrams of oil that you make, and you're going to love that trip too. That's completely different. The good thing about me recently is in dealing with people who are cancer, sometimes they give me some of their capsules, and man, that's a wonderful trip for 3 or 4 hours, completely different than smoking. And same with edibles. Sometimes they do nothing, but sometimes you just glide through the day. And with all the TV shows we're forced to watch right now, and all the movies, it's kind of a nice state of mind to be in. We got a creativity buzz going on. We're at home. There's a million shows I've always wanted to watch. I never thought I would, because who's locked in their own home for weeks on end. But we are now. So.
Totally. Buzz, you must have been watching and watching and watching, no? You must have been doing a hell of a lot of watching lately.
Just finished Westworld, which I thought was interesting. And there's a second season and a third season, so that's good. There's a new Curb Your Enthusiasm. There's a ton of movies, including some I haven't seen for 40 years that I started watching, and some are really good still. And some don't hold up with time. That's really true with comedy. Comedy's difficult to watch from the past, really, because so much of comedy is of its time.
You're damn right. No, you're absolutely right. It's do you foresee any sort of length of time before you? When are you next going out of the house? When are you next going to head off down the road? When are people going to come out? Is there any idea?
I absolutely have no plans to leave this apartment at all. I've got food being delivered. The good thing is the food has gotten much more expensive. But the thing, and I don't mean restaurant food, I mean actually from a grocery store or a meat and vegetable farm. Food's gotten more expensive, but I'm not spending any money on Uber. I'm not spending any money on entertainment, movies. I'm not going out to restaurants, cafes. I'm not eating anything I don't need to eat, junk food. I'm eating salads, fruits, meats, and vegetables. That's about it, grains. And that's it. And I'm just trying to keep my mind agile. And so I am probably still saving money by sitting here doing nothing. Now, am I earning money? No. But I'm going to, delay paying some of my taxes, delay some of my fine. I'm still going to have to pay them. And I've already got the rent paid for April, so if I can get to May, I'll probably something figured out, right? I'm making $300 to $500 a week, so I'll pull this off. I'm still making some money, even during this crisis, but just tiny amounts like that.
Wow. I'm so glad that you're just surviving the way you will be a survivor. We will definitely meet up in person again after all of this. I think we're both survivors as far as that goes.
Yeah, Well, you know, who can say? But my intention is I want to be there. I love South Africa. I'm always sorry to hear about these crime problems, but what a beautiful country it is, and my second favorite place in the world.
Wow.
I've got an apartment with a girlfriend in Medellin, Colombia. I love Colombia and I love Medellin. But my second favorite place in the world to be in would be South Africa. What a lovely place that is.
Mark, what we're going to do now, I've got a camera issue here. I'll be back shortly. I just need 5 minutes to put a boost in it. I'm going to go over to another computer in the studio, and at the end of the show we always do what we call Instamigram. And if you go onto your device, you can see with the hashtag Hotbox Show on Instagram, you will be able to see what it amounts to. Probably 160 pictures this week of everybody's entrance, and we give them a t-shirt or some blades or something or other. And Joe, I missed you last week because I forgot to give the t-shirt to last week's winner, because you normally do that on a Friday when you get into work.
Yeah, sorry. I'm bad.
Medellin there, promotion, Expo Medellin. I love that place.
Yeah, I can see you do. You're always going back to South America. What's the draw? What's the draw card there? Is it the exchange rate or the people or?
Oh, I guess well, it's everything really. The exchange rate is okay. It's gotten worse because the Canadian dollar has dropped precipitously in the last week. But it's a beautiful country. It's like the Garden of Eden from top to bottom, east to west. There is no not pretty place. I mean, you can find squalor if you were looking for it, but you will see nothing but green, beauty, plant, vegetation. It's on the equator. It's lush all year round. That everything I've ever seen grows there. Tropical, temperate, and from there I've made a lot of great friendships. I've been there 10 times. I have an apartment there with my girlfriend and her children in the suburb. It's a barrio of Itagüí. I'm the only gringo in the entire complex. I'm probably the only person that speaks any English for that matter. So it's definitely like a natural setting for the family and I to live. And I love that place. It's at 4,000 feet, about 1,400 meters. That's a tremendous altitude to be at for a nice moderated climate. It's sunny, it's rainy, it looks beautiful under both conditions. There's great sunsets. It's surrounded by mountain ranges everywhere. It's only an hour from Bogota, an hour from Cartagena. Flights within Colombia are very cheap.
Sounds like paradise. Yeah. So that's I didn't do Colombia. I've done a bit of Peru. It takes so long. I'll be back in South America one day, but I can't believe how many years it is since I have been there. So we're gonna bring you to a close. Oh, what happened there? Yeah, Mark, we're gonna sign off with this Instamigram, and what we're gonna do now is put on the screen. You good? Yeah. What we're gonna do now is put on the screen this week's entrance to Instamigram. You'll be able to see that shortly, and okay. I'm going to scroll through it and get to basically the end of this week's entrance, and we want you to pick a winner. So
okay, good. Let's go.
So have you got something on your screen yet? Yeah.
You want me to go to Instagram? Do you?
No. You can. What are you watching? Are you watching the show live on YouTube?
No, I'm watching it on Zoom.
All right, cool. Well, that's it then. That's what we're looking at. There it is. So I'm going to start scrolling through it, and if you see anything you like, then I'm going to flip through a few things. That there is very close to everyone's hearts at the moment. That one's quite an indicative picture of what's going on in South Africa right now. There's tons and tons of weed being harvested, all sorts of beautiful stuff, and we normally have an extremely high caliber of photograph. Has any of the crew been through this week?
No.
I don't blame you.
I haven't had a chance to. Sorry, I haven't had a chance to.
Here's last week's winner here. on the screen of the Instagram with the backdrop of the everything else. So that is that little worm. Who picked that little worm last week?
Okay, let me see that there. Okay. How do I make that a big screen so I can get a good look at that?
Do you want me to go through each one?
Oh, I see what you've done. Okay. To find what you're showing me on a large screen, I've got several different photos.
YouTube. Have a look on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Should I leave this program? Okay.
No, don't. No, don't leave this. Have you got a laptop around? I mean, have you got a phone? Put it.
That's too much work to do. Yes, I have a laptop, but I don't want to get that.
No, not at all. So, are you doing this show on a phone?
Yeah, my iPhone.
Aha. Right. Well, I am scrolling
It's
through.
where the Zoom app is. I don't think, actually, you know, except for the occasional viewing of porn, I don't think I use my computer for anything. Really.
No.
Sometimes a large screen is nice for porn, not necessary really, but everything else I've learned to do through my phone because it's always with me, and it's just this is what everybody does now, don't they? Doesn't every, you know? I mean, people told me I'd stop using my computer, and they were right. I didn't believe them.
Well, yeah, here's a photograph of the back of somebody we all know. That's doing really well. What do you think of that, Dan?
Where are you looking at?
Oh, I think Dan's battery died.
Ah, okay. All right, well,
Yeah.
that's what kind of happened with my battery. It'll be up in a minute. But there's, I believe that's Connor from, Medicated Photography. And we've been watching the development of this. And it's like, it's very impressive now. I think he's put in, he put Freedom Farms in there. It was a Freedom Farms grow. It's looking pretty cool.
Yeah, it really is looking amazing. Like,
How's yours?
Well done.
How's yours doing, Joe?
Mine are looking amazing. I had a different kind of panic this week. I looked at the sky and I convinced myself it was going to hail. And so I made my children help me build a greenhouse quickly out of fucking nothing. So now they're in a little bit of a shade cloth greenhouse thing. But they're probably about, I think 2 of them are probably about a week away from harvest. So exciting.
Wow, I'm looking at a picture now from ZA Organic. That's quite an impressively looking thing there. That's quite nice. Very good. How's this lot here? That's looking quite dank in there. Weedman Pro ZA. Hell of a thing.
Sure.
It's looking quite nice. What else we got here? Wow, look at that.
Now I don't see any of those, so I won't be picking anything.
Okay, you don't see any of that. That's a real shame. Okay, well, Joe...
Tell you what, Bill is still online.
Is Bill still online? Bill, can you see this?
Bill is still online. Can you see what's going on, Bill? Oh, yeah, we have to unmute him.
Yeah, hey guys. On the Hot
How's
Talk
it?
show.
Yeah.
I see an image there.
It's on the Dagga Couple YouTube channel.
Oh, I didn't go to the YouTube channel. I was just kind of listening in while I was working here.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
You see, we're just busking this because normally there's somebody in the studio, and the funniest Instagram we ever had was this guy that got so blazed he had to pick the shot, and halfway through scrolling, wow, all of this, he'd forgotten that he was the one that had to pick the photograph. He was so blazed, so we went halfway through Instagram and he didn't even know he was the judge. Remember that guy? There's a cool picture. Cool picture from Canapatch. Very nice. Whoa. Anything that...
So what happened to you there, Jules?
Pardon?
What's happened to you? Why am I looking at an empty studio?
Because I have now gone to another computer to do Instagram because the main camera is now charging quickly because the charger was faulty. How's that?
There you go.
He's playing a dual role. He has to be techie as well tonight.
Always. We've got to streamline it somehow. But at the moment, this is how it is. This is
Okay, well, listen. Why don't I say goodbye then? Are we done?
Sure. If you
All
can't,
right, man.
if you can't see Instagram, that's all good, Mark. Keep drinking the soup, and we'll see you on the flip side. And we'll watch your posts and see how it is in Toronto. And one day we'll all come out the other side of this.
This was fun and good health to you all, and hopefully we'll get through this no problem or some problem. But what does the term ad astra in Latin mean? It means through adversity to the stars. So ad astra, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much,
Well,
Mark.
hey, stay safe, Mark. It's always good chatting to you.
Yeah, that was fun. All right, see y'all.
Cool, man. Thank you. Right, I'm going to try and boot this computer up quickly. If the control desk could keep scrolling through Instagram back up, scroll up because we got to the end now. There's one. There you go. Wow, how's that? That is now being scrolled in the Hotbox show from somebody in Centurion, Irene, Pretoria kind of side, and that always does my head in. So there's some pretty epic pictures going on here.
They really are. You guys are still like outshining each other constantly. It's amazing.
Is anything
That's what's so exciting that it's like harvest time. So we've been watching these things grow up.
Okay. His data died because he's out at the farm. He's not on the bloody. Dan's data clapped out. I've got a number one camera back up again. So let's see. Buzz, are you still around? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still around.
Okay. Are you looking at any of this? Can you see you? Has anything taken your eye?
I can't see any of what's going down, but I think you're just going to have to solo it and pick a winner this week.
Yeah, I know. I've got one. I'm going to wait for it to come back up. It's got a beautiful exposure with a purple bud right in the middle. Yes, this is some epic weed going on. The weed that I put onto the show last week from Dankness ZA down in the Eastern Cape. Man, maybe that was my problem because that stuff just makes you fly. Really, really. I think I need to just take it down a notch and smoke some there. You see that male there on the right? Above there, that one. A long time since a male plant. Yeah, let's have a look at that. Look at that. Do you remember the dude grows? Oh, what's that? What's that bag? Yeah, this could be the one. I'm gonna call it on the male plant this week. Look at that frosty shit. So I think I'm going to have to get away from the real dankness of the Eastern Cape genetics and the koi danks and all of that, and just go back to some pipe smoke because I miss it. I mean, it wasn't too bad today, but the last couple of mornings was like. But anyway, I'd fucked my arm up and things weren't going right and shit's going down or whatever. So, can anybody see me on a camera yet? No.
Yeah, we can see you.
But can you see me in the studio? Let me start again. Starting on 195. Am I? Yeah, you should control. You
So
should.
congratulations, the dude grows. I think we'll only be able to send your prize post lockdown, post self isolation.
That's a very good point. There you go. Can you see me? Okay, I'm live. Wow, that was touch and go. The charger underneath the table, folks, is clapped. It was plugged in, but it wasn't charging. It's the story of my life. There was something I wanted to pick up on what Mark was saying about incredible. When he was saying that you can, weed, weed as normal, weed as usual, and it's an essential item because it's medicine. Do you remember last week Tony was talking about emergency legislation to completely free up weed as a resource for anybody to make money off while the shit's going down? Did you hear that thread at all last week, Buzz, with Tony?
No, didn't pick up on that.
All right, well, we were both in agreement that we should pressurise the government to enact emergency legislation that everyone has to grow weed.
Yes. Martial law for weed.
So we started tweeting it this week to ZA government. Think about this shit now. You have to free the weed up now, because even if you grow a field full of seed for people to eat, like Mark says, there's a food shortage. You said, Buzz, I should be growing more vegetables as much as weed now. You're absolutely damn right.
Yeah, I think we've all just got to start becoming a bit more self-sustenant. I remember when we went to Lesotho, really it was a very poor part of the world. And the one thing I noticed is that every home had mealies, tomatoes, and spinach growing. And I think maybe we could learn a little from those who've learned to live on a little.
I see that through southern Africa, everywhere in Zambia and everywhere in Mozambique, they're agrarian, they grow shit. Here, I don't know, it's not so much. It's not so much here, but it might have to be. Big changes are happening. Now, we were going to hang on to see if Ricky Stone was going to come into the house, but I'm not sure he's back and he's able to do it. So I know he really, really wanted to do it. He was thinking about the signal wherever he was. It looks as if you can't see me again. Have you got a studio screen?
We can see you sitting on the couch on Zoom, but I don't know about the audience.
Okay.
Yeah, not on YouTube. It's going blank again.
Yeah. Well, the camera's up. There's a whole lesson to be learnt here now. We're on a wing
What
and
I
a
have been
pram.
wondering though is that I see a lot of people buying the ciggies, buying the booze. I'm sure they're having to max out their credit cards to get their 21-day supply. But what I've really been wondering is, do people have enough weed for the next 21 days? And it's not going to be 21 normal days. It's going to be like 21 days of leave and scrolling through Netflix. So I'm curious to see by next week who's burned through their 21-day supply already.
Indeed, it's a hell of a thing. But judging by the Instagram feeds, there's a shitload of weed getting sold, getting grown. But as Mark says, it's like going to become a luxury item one day. So the price is going to drop for sure, because maybe there's just going to be so much weed there'll be more weed here than there is in Canada. Crazy shit. I can't wait to see it happen. We've actually started thinking about it seriously, how to maximise how weed plays a part in the rebuilding of society, because it has to. It really, really does. It's so fucking useful. We know that. We all know that. So I don't know what everyone's got their minds on something else at the moment, and we will deal with that at another day. So I'm not sure that Ricky's.
Yeah, I think we just need a day or two to settle into the new routine of things for a little bit. This is all a little bit shocking for everybody, and so yeah, I think everyone just needs to have a day or two to see what it's going to be. Take a deep breath, realize hopefully it's not going to be that bad. Just chill at home.
Well, we think we know what we're doing, but there's been a hell of a lot of weird information all over the place about what you can do and what you can't do. I was on a thread today that put a picture up this morning about who can drive and who can have what, and if you are driving, you've got to have one person in the back and they've both got to have masks, and there's no more than two in a car, and all sorts of things. And it turns out that it was from Cyprus. Fuck's sake. I don't know where's all the real stuff. There's lots of sites and shit going on. Have you noticed when you go to Google's front page, it says do the 5, and wash your hands, keep away, don't breathe, sneeze, into your elbow. They're doing this on the front of Google now with this high 5 thing. It's going round and round and round. It's very basic stuff that to keep us up and running.
People have definitely stopped passing the battery to the left-hand side or to the right-hand side, eh? Because I'm going to have to bounce. My battery's fading fast, yeah?
Okay.
Also, maybe you guys stay sane and stay lit, eh?
Well done. Thanks a lot. Thanks for pulling in, Buzz. We'll see you next week.
Cool.
So, Joe, I believe that Ricky's starting to dial in now. So
Well, no, Jules, I've been watching on YouTube. It's finished.
What's finished?
The show.
Oh, I haven't got any. No, Ricky's incoming. No, it's
Ricky
right.
incoming.
Yeah, Ricky's incoming. I can see Nelio doing a... No.
Nino, unmute.
Oh, here comes Ricky now. No, here comes Ricky. Sorry, that was very confusing. We're learning lots of things all at the same time with a brand new
I don't
setup
know.
of stuff.
The YouTube feed is finished.
I wonder why that.
That's
I wonder if Nelio knows that.
Okay, it's running.
Oh, Steve, car capacity divide by 2 is the limit in a vehicle. That's very nice to know. The car capacity, thank you for that, Steve. And I see Myrtle put on the thread that she uses it to decrease her anxiety. So there's fucking chalk and cheese for 100%. But we all know that I'm the glass half empty and she's the glass half full kind of girl. I believe we got Ricky on the line now. Is Ricky coming in at all? I haven't got a picture for him quite yet. So Ricky's no stranger to the show either.
I'm here, Jules. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear, man. Are you just coming in on audio?
Yeah, I think the signal will be better that way, hey? Hold up, yeah.
I fully understand. So Ricky's out in the sticks in the Eastern Cape, PE. He's one of our favourite lawyers in the whole world. Those of you who've watched the show before know Ricky Stone. We met him as an environmental lawyer and he helped us put a stop to all the spraying with a shot over the bow to the government and the cops and everything. So welcome to the show again tonight, Ricky. You're on now because we just wanted to know how your day is, and you're a drinker and a smoker, and how does it sound for 21 days, Brew?
Oh, pretty crazy, eh, Jules? I mean, the day is, I guess I'm fortunate, as people are saying I'm a lot calmer than I would have expected. And that's probably because I'm 100 meters from the ocean, Jeffreys Bay way, and this is where I'm locked down. But yeah, I mean, the alcohol thing, fortunately I've been limiting myself to just the weekend, so I think I'll be fine through this. I've definitely got enough other wellness and health products to see me through, I think, too. But I mean, even just the thought, of having to, I guess, self-define what panic buying is. I smoke cigarettes, and that was quite a thing. So in Jeffreys Bay today, when I went to the Pick and Pay, there wasn't a single box of cigarettes at 9:45 this morning. So I went to on my 8th shop, and I still couldn't get Marlboro Lights, which I smoke. I managed to get 2 cartons of Marlboro Red. No rolling tobacco either. It was quite a nerve-wracking day, hey? For me, just, I guess, personally trying to ready myself for this. But then also fielding heaps and heaps of calls from many human beings who are affected by this, whether it's lease agreements, financing agreements with banks, and then businesses, a large part of those also who fall within the essential services definition, and who are now actually mandated by law to trade. So yeah, one heck of a day, Jules. It's not done yet either.
No, well,
to be on the show.
Well, we waited and waited. We really wanted you on. We knew it was going to be tight, and we kept you on, got you on at the last minute. There's all sorts of confusion about the rules and the regulations. And what are your personal feelings about sending in the army? Have you got the army in J Bay? Have you got a presence there at all?
Look, not yet, hey? Well, I haven't personally seen any army vehicles, but I mean, just to go to the shops today and back took me close to 2.5 hours, and that's probably within like a 10-kilometer radius, if that. So I didn't venture off too many roads, so I wouldn't have seen army, but there were certainly police and law enforcement officials out. I have then seen on some community groups a lot of justices of oaths and peace officers have put themselves forward to assist with the enforcement. So it's not just going to be the army, the police. There's many other people, who in terms of the law would be called upon in a crisis such as this.
Indeed. And what's your main? And you will be working really, really hard remotely, like many of us. Yeah, you imagine, apart from the psychology of it all, the day-to-day runnings of your multifaceted life goes on a channel like this. You zoom in, you're online mostly, yeah.
Oh yes, yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Lots of Google Hangout meetings, and then telephone calls, emails. One thing it has shown me is
how unimportant many meetings we have face to face, when it can now be done via an email, because organizing 10 people to get around the hangout is not that easy.
And
So I get there are many positive lessons out of this for corporations. Certainly, businesses, unfortunately, I'm not from work, but some of the groups I'm involved in, because they're not allowed to, unfortunately, won't be paid, for at least the next 21 days. But to give you an example, some retail landlords have sent emails saying that they're going to freeze all rental payments, including interest and everything, for 3 months. It's quite a significant number there too.
that is a very significant number. That's quite incredible. 3 months is, as Marc was saying, 3 months might be just the tip of the iceberg, but it's a really good thought. I mean, the world is changing very, very rapidly to accommodate all of this. It's quite extraordinary. Last week I got picked up, Ricky, by saying either it was a state of disaster or a state of emergency. I think last week I said this state of emergency. Was I right or was I wrong? What sort of state are we in the law at the moment?
Yeah, look, it actually raises so many fascinating legal questions. This whole virus, and any steps that have been taken thus far. I mean, we have to also bear in mind that this is unprecedented. We've never been faced with a crisis such as this. Any governments that have been around for, say, the last 600 years, So there's bound to be certain mistakes, particularly with regard to regulation. Some things might be left out. And I'll get onto it a little bit later, but how fluid it is. And during the day, all of a sudden, government realized they've made a mistake in the form and it actually needed this detail, and then they have to amend it. So it's always in this constant state of flux. But 2 Sundays ago, then, when President Ramaphosa made his declaration to the nation, that then was, in terms of the Disaster Management Act, declaration of a national state of disaster, okay? Which then is distinguishable from a national state of emergency. So the distinction is also very important. And I guess, again, we're blessed to have the Constitution, which we do have and which you and I both are very fond of. So
very fond.
Fortunately, some other jurisdictions don't have like a kind of in-between disaster state. They go straight to state of emergency. And why I say that? Because it's particularly relevant, because in a state of emergency, basically almost all of your human rights that you have in terms of the Bill of Rights can be suspended. So a state of emergency is the absolutely extreme and extraordinary remedy that a state would have to go to somewhat bring a threat under control. So I mean, effectively then, so in a state of emergency, government can even discriminate. So there's certain, in terms of the Constitution, there's 8 grounds, I think, that you can not entitled to discriminate on. But when it comes to a state of emergency, not all of those grounds become non-discriminatory. So, for example, had government declared a state of emergency, which they might still well do, there is a question as to whether that would be permitted in terms of our Constitution. I'll touch on that. But then, if it was a state of emergency, they could discriminate on the basis of gender, sexual orientation, HIV status, or nationality. So that would be permitted because a state of emergency, those rights would be suspended because it's strictly required by the emergency. So, for example, where your doctors in Italy have had to decide whether certain patients, be they over a certain age or sex or health condition, whether they would save them. That is what would happen if it was a state of emergency. So I think, fortunately for us, we're not yet there. I would really hope that we do not get there, because once that happens, many rights will be suspended, such as your rights to freedom of expression, the right to vote, even the right to education, the right to dignity. You basically just hang on to your right to life. But then even then you could be discriminated against on one of the bases I mentioned. So it is very serious. And as an attorney, look, it's quite a gloomy time, but I've seen what the wartime doctors look like, and I can tell you I feel like a wartime attorney, man.
Well, so I was absolutely right to be picked up in the comments about it later. I do apologise. So this all of a sudden, I feel quite lucky that we're in just a state of disaster all of a sudden. It's I don't think there is a state of emergency, and I don't know how we heard from Bill that there's that there is a military presence around, but they kind of are best friends in America. The military, there's no threat of any sort of weird insurgency from them. I reckon I don't know how nobody knows what the army's like in this generations in South Africa, so it's quite a tough one. And then today on the thread there was somebody said something about a CBD shop being exempt. I haven't heard anything much about that. Is that correct? That CBD purveyors?
Yeah.
What?
Some of them, I guess, acting on depends whose advice. Certain acting on my advice will be trading because CBD is a Schedule 4 substance. Whether it's defined as a health supplement, a complementary medicine, or a Schedule 4 medicine, still regulated by the Medicines and Related Substances Act. So, for purposes of this state of disaster, I would then say that they do fit into the essential goods category. Although I must qualify that, and that any interpretation or argument obviously comes with risk. But same as cannabis. So if you look, I mean, I could share a link on here, possibly if I could find it, and maybe some of the guys in the back might be able to pull it up. But in the States, they specifically declared, the States and Canada, that the cannabis businesses were part of the essential goods. So I would say anybody that is lawfully supplying cannabis products in this country, be they CBD or whatever, if they're being done lawfully through clubs, as long as all your ducks are in a row and you've registered with the Biz portal and you've got your certificates and you've got the correct permits, which have changed 3 times today.
Wow. Really? Go into that?
Share this, yeah.
Really? What do you mean?
Mickelson's attorneys are a great firm. They do a lot of cybersecurity work, a lot of compliance stuff. They're really great. If anybody enjoys legal newsletters of guys that are at the forefront of developments, you should subscribe there. So I've followed them for years now, and they alerted me to this via subscription. And then, because it turned out, and it's embarrassing, but as I said, it's in a state of flux. You can imagine being a politician at this time. And I do have massive respect for our politicians and the steps that they've taken. It really is admirable. But a lot more work to do. But anyway, the regulations which were promulgated last night, I did share them on 1 or 2 groups, which you guys might have seen. They were put together in haste, so the actual permit that's included there is incomplete. You might have noticed that there's some blank pages, so due to whatever kind of error, the actual text that should be on there wasn't copied over. So, for example, the permit has to specify which of the 28 categories of essential services your business falls into.
28?
And then there's 28 different categories of services. Only 3 categories of goods, either food, a medicine, or a hygiene product.
Okay. And this is...
And then there's 28 different services which are allowed, which supports the 3 essential goods.
And
so they're courier companies that then can only transport those 3 types of goods.
Oh, okay. Because that's on the tip of everyone's tongue.
The military already stepped in, so I do know there's military presence because I was told that through Futurama, who I tried to get my pepper gun from. And it's now stuck at courier guy in Johannesburg, because it was disclosed as what it is, a self-defense product, and they're not allowing it through because it's not an essential good.
Really?
So, no, if you click on the Courier Guy website now, and I'll urge people to do it, you'll see a notice that pops up there, and they're telling you that they need a letter from you saying why your goods are essential goods, and then every package must be marked essential, and then obviously the goods, whether it's a medicine, a foodstuff, or a hygiene product.
And when you call it a medicine, do you mean a prescription medicine?
No, like broadly health and medical services, health supplement, a
supplements
wellness
would fall in.
supplement.
Cool.
Well, look, I mean, they haven't said it in those words. It's just they
Well, look, Ricky, you know what? Hey,
supplements are regulated by the Medicines Act. So many people use them as opposed to using medicines proper from pharmacies. So, I mean, Wellness Warehouse, for instance, are at least trading online. They were going to keep their stores open up until 4 o'clock this afternoon, and they then called an urgent board meeting to decide whether that was responsible to do, instead of just fulfilling via delivery, which is the advice I've been given. So even to certain, even if they're pharmacies, whatever they are, the responsible thing for businesses to do, even if they can trade, is to not open their retail stores, but to instead step up and put in place one heck of a distribution system, because through the existing couriers, remember, they can only carry 3 types of parcels, so they themselves will be looking for that business, and you could get your products to consumers very quickly, you know.
Indeed.
If you think of it.
What were you about to say, Joe?
I was just going to say, it took them like 2 days to decide whether we could walk our dogs or not. So I think that when it comes to the finer things like CBD and things like that, it might take them another day or 2.
Well, that's all.
No, look, I don't think that they're concerned about it.
Yeah.
To be honest, they don't have the time to figure that out. So if a product, this is my view, again, and I did qualify and say I could be wrong. Jules might back me up here. I've been wrong too many times. But if it's regulated by the Medicines Act, so health supplements are, complementary medicines are, I don't see why in a time of crisis. Those are supplements that people use. They're daily supplements. So as long as they're lawful or being distributed through a lawful mechanism, then I would say they have to get to the citizens.
Okay. That's all very interesting. I actually, today, I didn't go into the small print of anything because I'm having a hard time sifting through which documents which. There's so many documents around. And we're on a couple of very, very lively groups, as it were, and conspiracies abound and all sorts of things. Ricky, last week, I don't know whether you tuned in last week, but I asked all of our guests as a parting shot, if you had carte blanche to be the director of your own movie, which conspiracy theory around this would you choose as the screenplay for it?
Does that question depend on whether carte blanche is the producer?
No, not at all. No, this will be an independent thing, and we'll get it to the networks later. No, you won't have to write the script for anything like that. You've got carte blanche, matey. You can express yourself whichever way you like. You can even have your own ending.
Okay.
So which conspiracy? Because there are many. I think there's truth to everything I read in some weird form. It's like stranger than fiction.
Absolutely.
What would you pick as the main thread? You know, boy meets girl at a 5G tower, or
yeah, Jules, look. I guess I've seen this all before, you know, whether it's been through one of the movies in the mainstream, through countless documentaries I watched at university. So I certainly consider myself a mild to moderate conspiracy theorist, but at this kind of time for me, I've had to make a decision to put all of that aside, you know, and just to be objective. There new laws and regulations are coming out every single day in this country, and that's what I have to focus on. So I'm putting the conspiracy theories aside for now, but I'll still give in my vote, and I would say that they need to make it on the United Nations.
aha.
I reckon they're involved.
All right. Well, funny you should say that. There's Charles put us onto a documentary called "Who Is Who," and it's on YouTube, and it's an expose for an hour about the WHO's handling of the Ebola virus and Chernobyl, and how insidiously fucked up and bloated it all is, and they've got blood on their hands, and it's quite shocking. to see that as a documentary. It's quite. Did you see it, Joe? I think you did. Didn't I send it
I
out for
saw
you
the
to?
link, but I haven't had a chance to watch anything really.
This is a while back. This is like in the last few months, but it's there, and I'm with you there, Ricky. We went to the UN, and it is only 3 weeks ago that we were in the UN, and they played it down all the time. Wash your hands, keep a distance. You can't get it from this, that. They really were. They were deciding only 3 weeks ago whether to call it a pandemic or not, and now look at it. So there's some weird shit going on in that respect. But Ricky, you're absolutely right. Myrtle and I call it doom surfing, and we don't do it anymore. We catch up in the morning and then drop it and get onto something else. And I've read a book since I got back, and it's been cool reading on paper and not a backlit tablet. Do you envisage, Ricky, to have any time for yourself, just to not be a lawyer at some point, or is it just totally cooking in your world? He went.
Sorry, George, you just broke up. You broke up. I'm back. Like a Wi-Fi. I'm in a house full of wood and lots of granite.
Okay, mate. I'm just asking.
I can hear you. Yeah, I just see what my.
Stop to be a lawyer. Just stop being a lawyer for a little while, and do you you might. Is virtual fishing any better than real fishing? Can you virtually fish?
You look. I guess that should be lawful. You see, that's the lawyer in me. But I'm 100 meters from the ocean, so if I had a drone, I don't know. Like, would I still be entitled to fish? So, like, I thought about that. But yeah, I don't know. Hey.
Okay.
I'm encouraging people not to step out and break the law, even if you are permitted to. I mean, as we know now, it's come out that it was covered up in the beginning. Well, no, it's another question, but this virus is airborne, so the risk is far more significant. So I think for me, I'm going to be very responsible, lock myself down. I've got enough walking room outside and already started some cool exercise routines. So yeah, I do see my days calming down a bit from, I would say, I've said Friday midday, so tomorrow midday.
Okay, great.
Because then a lot of the hard graft, I guess, will be out of the way, or particularly for the businesses maybe that acted quickly, you know, a lot of my clients. So I guess I'll still get some other businesses who might then get arrested because they don't have the correct registration and permits. So I would expect a handful of those calls. But yeah, again, largely it's been a massive responsibility. So I'm actually then looking, I've got a few attorneys who I'm going to be speaking to refer some of that work to. I just don't have the capacity to take it on, and
right.
I'm still taking on work as much as it comes, you know. In a time of crisis like this, you obviously need to suspend your fees or greatly reduce them to any attorneys that are out there listening.
Completely. Well, we're delighted that we got 30 minutes of your time to update us with the law and the regulations, how many there are. It'll take us all a bit of time to learn them, but I, for one, am like you. I'm pretty settled in my way. I've been on the same property for 30 years, and here I remain for another 3 weeks. So it's a psychology thing at the moment. We're thinking of all of the staff that we've sent away with as much money as we can give them and airtime and God knows what. It's like cracking us up which way it could go. Look after yourself and your wife and the dogs and everything else, Ricky, and thanks for the 30 minutes, and I'm sure we'll see each other offline during the course of things. So go well, my friend, and thank you for being on the Hotbox show once again. Go and get another 8 hours work. Go get another 8 hours working before you go to bed.
Cool, Jules.
All right, man.
First half an hour for you though. Anyway, thanks guys.
Okay,
always great being on the show. Stay safe and see you on the other side, eh?
Thanks, Ricky. Cool, man.
Thanks, Ricky. We love you.
Love you guys. One love.
Thanks for hanging in till the end, Joe.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
All right, that's a crazy 2 hour show. Christ, I'm glad that one's over. We've got a couple of things to do around here to make it a little bit slicker. It's like, it's a one-man show, but maybe there's a time when I would imagine next week, maybe, I don't know, maybe Buzz and I can be in the same place 2 meters away and we'll put you on the couch. I don't know how it's going to work out, but it's kind of fun doing it. It's an awful subject, but it'll be like a historical one in the end. we'll look back on it hopefully, and we won't have a laugh about it, but we'll shake our heads. Sean Alexander, thank you for all of the thread, matey. Peppy, same to you. Thanks for being here right to the very end. And Joe, we'll see you on a chat somewhere, but keep that smile of yours on your face, and we're here in spirit if we can help at the Jazz Farm. All right. To everybody at home.
No, that's it. We're all just a FaceTime and a Zoom meeting away from each other. That's
sure, that's how it is. Virtual
That's
everything.
how it is.
And to everybody at the Hotbox Show, the guest room, you guys, we couldn't do it without you. In the bottom corner it says number 126. It's quite a track record now, so thank you very much for tuning in. We're trying to make it as interesting as we can every week, and it was cool to have the whole crew around again. Joe, thank you, my darling. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Stay safe and choose happy.
Heaven knows if.